Hi, this is Gladsley Miller, and you're listening to the Learn, Apply, Repeat podcast. Hey Julio, thanks so much for being here. I've been chasing you for a while, but here you are.
Hey, I am very happy. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Julio, I know you, but the audience doesn't know you. Who is Julio Arango?
Julio Arango is a father. I have three kids and two dogs. I am a graphic designer. I study commercial art, so I would say that is what I am, a graphic designer. But nowadays I do more web design than graphic design, and I am really into artificial intelligence. So I've been learning a lot about artificial intelligence and how to use it in my work. I have a studio called Dancing Pels, and what we do at Dancing Pels is personalized websites. So I try to incorporate everything I learned into the studio.
Am I right to say that you also have a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do have a YouTube channel. I started it during the pandemic,
Okay.
and it was just for fun, but it started growing, and now I was able to monetize it. So I'm not sure what I want to go with it, but it is growing, so it is doing very well.
Tell me more. Like, how did this YouTube channel started for fun? What you are trying to achieve?
I used to work on a company and a software development company here in Panama. We did software for financial institutions, and I was the CMO. I was in charge of marketing for all the 14 countries that the company was present. And most of the work we did was on-site events, like events in each of the countries. We would travel to each of the countries throughout the year to do on-site events to promote our software. And because we were on lockdown, there was very little for me to do. We did a lot of webinars, and we started doing Zoom presentations about everything, and it started doing very well. But I had so much free time that I decided to start something new. And I figured out that most of the people that I knew that lost their jobs because of the pandemic started creating their own little businesses. They would start selling stuff online or anything. My sister-in-law, they had a restaurant, so what they did is that they created a food delivery service from the restaurant so they could deliver. And they created their website to start delivering and created their new brand and their logo. And everybody, they didn't have any money to hire a graphic designer. So I thought to myself, I'm going to start teaching a little bit of graphic design principles and a couple of design tools for people to start, you know, being able to promote their business in sort some of way. And that's what I did. I created the YouTube channel, especially to help people start creating a little bit of, arts like a logo, a brochure, a flyer. And the most important thing is that I created the YouTube channel in Spanish because there's so much content in English. So there's pretty much no need to create more content in English, but there's not as much content in Spanish. So this is why I focus for in the Spanish speaking community, and it took off. It apparently I was good at explaining in front of a camera, so I started gaining more followers, and they started asking for things. So the channel deviated from my original idea, and I started creating content towards what people were asking. And most people were like graphic design students and people who wanted to become graphic designers more than what I thought it was going to be, uh, the audience. So it was very interesting at the beginning.
I like the fact that you noticed that even during your work, you had some free time and you're like, okay, let's do something practical. And moreover, like when you saw the need of like people that were losing their jobs and then getting to kind of like doing their side gig to get bills paid as well. It's like, and then you jumped in and like, all right, I'm gonna teach them because like maybe they don't have the budget to hire someone professional, right? And more than that, like in terms of product, I find it interesting as well the fact that you you had an idea of creating these videos for this kind of target audience, but in the end it kind of transformed into people that they actually wanted to get started in graphic design, right, in web design, as it seems.
It is interesting because as a graphic designer, and most of them will say the same, our tool is like this. The standard of the business is Adobe,
Hmm.
Illustrator, Photoshop, but it is an expensive tool. It is about $600 a year. So I had to find a way to teach graphic design, but without people having to pay that much money. So I found these new tools that are called Affinity, the Affinity Suite, Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, and Affinity Publisher. And I started using them myself to test them, because I thought to myself, if this can do what I need for my job, why would I continue paying $600 every year? Because these are pay once and work with them. And as I was teaching the use of these tools, I needed to make sure that I was good enough to teach. So it helped me become an expert on the tools. So it was a gain. I was teaching and I was becoming even better at using the tools so I could teach how to use it. So I was gaining from it. I was maintaining my skills up to date. And that is very important.
You touched the point that for me in the past as well, like I come from a really kind of poor family, and I'll be honest, in the beginning we had to find some dodgy copies of Photoshop to learn it and get to learn and get to kind of build something in there. And the fact that you tried Affinity, and I tried this tool in the past as well, one of them. And I remember one of the things that I love the most is that you can have like an infinite kind of canvas that you can keep zooming in. That
It is
Illustrator,
amazing.
yeah, that was like for me it was mind blowing. And the fact that this tool, do you know how much it is nowadays? The license you pay it once, right?
You pay about $60 or $70 for each of the three tools,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a lifetime license. It doesn't expire.
Yeah.
And if you buy the three of them together, I don't know how much they cost, but it is completely insignificant compared to
Mm-hmm.
to Adobe. So yeah, at the end, I was teaching and I'm using Adobe for my work. Now I just erased Adobe from my computer because I got used to Affinity, and it was cool.
Yeah. And
And
there's
it was great because when I quit my job working for this company, then I didn't have the company to pay for the licenses. I had to pay the
oh,
licenses myself. So it was also good because when you're starting a new business, you need to save in every little detail.
oh, but wait. Like, I want you to tell more. Like, why did you quit your job?
I work in the software company for 16 years. And the
16.
last 7 of those 16 years, I was the director of marketing, the
Mm-hmm.
CMO. So I was in a point in my life that I wasn't gonna grow there anymore. I was already, what are you gonna do if you're already a director for so long? The only thing was to start my own business. So we came to an agreement. I left in the best of terms. I decided to start my own studio, and this is when Dancing Pels was born. At the beginning, I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to do because I've been so long in this software company that I knew graphic design, video editing, event planning, uh, web design, and all of the things related to actually running a marketing department for a multinational company. So I thought I was going to do everything. I was going to do all of those things. I was going to do since creating logos all the way to events and everything in between. And when I started, my website had like 7 different services that I provide. But as I was starting to get clients, and at the beginning it was quite hard getting clients, most of the clients that came were for web design.
Hmm.
And as I continue developing websites, I've noticed that most of those clients came because I was more passionate about selling web design than selling any other thing. It's not that they didn't needed other stuff. It's just that during the sales process, I always focus in the importance of the website, and it is probably the most important touch point of your brand uh, when a customer is when you're acquisitioning customers. So this is why little by little I started focusing and leaving all other services out until now that I just do web design. And if the company requires branding and graphic design as part of the web development, then I do it. Then, because everything starts with a brand audit, so I can learn what do you need as a web uh, site. If it's a portfolio or a online store or whatever. So, and as we do the brand audit, sometimes the outcome is that maybe you need rebranding, maybe not.
Yes.
And if it comes to that, then I do the rebranding and I do new logos and collaterals and everything that is involved in between, but only because we are going to do the best website possible.
Tell me more about your thoughts on the website is the most important thing at this stage.
Nowadays, and since the pandemic, everything is more online.
Mhm.
Everything, everybody has these Zoom meetings and has online shopping, and people tend to keep what they already became accustomed during the pandemic. So everything is more online. So when you learn about a new product or a new thing, the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Instagram or to Facebook or to whatever social media platform you prefer, and check it out. Oh, yeah, this is very interesting. And the second step, most of the times, probably 90% of the times, is to visit their website. Because then you want to like go deeper.
Mhm.
First, social media, yes, they probably have what I'm looking for, the service or the product. Yeah. Second, the website. Let's see the features, let's see the reviews, let's see what people think about, let's see the benefits of, let's convince me. Go ahead, convince me. You are the right choice. So once you go into, once you spend so much money on ads on YouTube or on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, and you finally get the person to visit your website, then you need to be on point because you already spent that money. And if your website is not on point, then all is lost.
Yeah. Yeah, from my own perspective, whenever I get to know anyone, I try to Google their names or their brand and try to find their website first. I don't go to social media first. I go to their website. And specifically because I've worked with web development for ages. I've worked in an agency, and for me it was always about building a pixel perfect website. Because of that, like that's why I asked this question, because if you say, "Oh, I'm pretty good at this, I'm pretty good at that," and then you go to their website, and the website looks a bit dodgy, unfinished, unpolished, with bugs, for me, right at that moment, I've lost all my trust. Thanks, but no thanks. And then I move on to try and find some other uh, per- service provider that would do that thing for me.
Exactly, exactly. There is a something that I learned in on one of Marty Neumeyer's books, that it says even if you have an awful, ugly brand, even if your colors are bad, your fonts are ugly, If you have an ugly, consistent brand, you're doing it right. And it automatically increases your sales in 3%. 3%, just for having an ugly
Okay.
brand. Because clients see the consistency. Okay, it's not nice, but it's consistent, it's on point, and just because of that, it builds trust. And automatically, no matter how bad it is, it would increase your sales in at least 3%. It's not the same if you go to the YouTube channel and they have one image, and then to the website and they have other colors and other fonts and other things, and their Instagram is completely different. Then it's like, what is all this craziness? So if there's consistency, and this is what we try to build, a very consistent experience for the audience, so it builds trust. And even better if it's beautiful, if it's nice, if it's on point with the client on mind. Because that's the secret. Is the website is not built for the client. I don't care what the CEO of the or the owner of the company likes. I like purple. I like blue, but not all my websites are purple and blue. I care about what the customer, the end customer wants. So that's why we start with the brand audit, to make sure that we're going to build the website for the actual customer, not
Yeah.
for the owner, not for my client, but for their clients.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brand that talks to the audience, the target audience, not to the owner of the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's like one point of that you touched about the consistency, right? Like when I studied UX, this is something that one of the main books that we talk about is the Don't Make Me Think. And if you go into the website and then there's something weird in there, but in terms of like brand consistency, if I go to the website, it looks like something, and then if you go to, I don't know, LinkedIn page, it looks slightly different, and you go into Instagram, it's a different font, different color scheme. Like it's such a simple thing that for us it's kind of obvious that it should keep consistent, but there are lots of brands out there, they're like everywhere, and when I see that, and I've been there, and that's how I call my, when I was in there, it's like it's a bit schizophrenic, kind of my branding is schizophrenic. I'm a bit here and there everywhere. So the fact that you are addressing these and then you're like focusing on the website itself, which I really like it, like because this is what I used to do for a living, building websites as well. So this, I think, as you said it, you found a niche, and because you found niching down, it seems to have worked.
Yes, definitely. It is very important. It is very important because at the beginning when I started, I thought I was gonna do a little bit of everything, and I enjoy doing a little bit. I like editing videos. That's why I have the YouTube channel. I love doing collaterals. Designing banners and designing stuff like that is really fun. But if you try to do everything and be good at everything, it is impossible. So as and that I learned with the YouTube channel. I had to study and I had to become very good at these new tools that I was learning, so I could teach them. And with web design is a little bit the same, because my first website I did in the year 2000.
Okay.
HTML code. I took a course, and when I was in college, they didn't teach web design. That didn't exist when I was in college in '95. So that it was when it came out, and the web and the web pages, and I had to start from scratch, and I was already out of college. So I took HTML courses and learned how to code, I'm not good at coding at all, but I had to learn a little bit. And then it came Flash and came Dreamweaver, and little by little I started going. And you need to start be on top of those tools, because then there comes the next one, and comes the next one, and comes the next one, and then it's Wix, and then it's WordPress, and then it's Webflow, and now there are other ones like Framer. So if you're not on top of the technology and continue learning, so imagine being on top of the technology for video editing, graphic design, web design, and every other little thing. It is impossible. It is impossible, especially when you're starting that you have your business and you're all alone. Right now,
Mhm.
I'm not longer all alone. We started growing and we have more people, but at the beginning, I had to do everything. Now I only focus on a few things, and then I have people to do graphic design, and I have nothing to do with the business side of the business, because someone else takes care of that. I only focus on being creative and doing web development. I do prefer to do the websites myself instead of
Mhm.
someone else, but the rest I give it to somebody else. So it is important to focus, to niche, and to have a specialty. This is what I do. I don't do all of this, because you need to be the best one,
Mhm.
and that's the only way to focus.
Yeah, I like it. And I wanted to go back a bit into having your YouTube channel and then quitting your job. When did that happen?
It was on 2022. It was February of 2022 when I made the decision to leave the company.
Hmm.
And it was something related with the company itself. They started making changes, and they changed the board of directors, and there was a few issues that I had with one of them. Nothing nothing serious, nothing problematic, but I thought to myself, this is maybe the time.
Hmm.
They are taking a new approach that I am not very comfortable with it. And before I end up getting into an argument, into a fight, or getting fired, or whatever,
Hmm.
it's just, and it wasn't only me, it was a couple of people who left the company at that moment. We didn't feel comfortable, and we just left, and everybody, it was okay. It was a good decision at the moment. And because of that, I wasn't as prepared as I would like to be to start the new business.
Yes.
I made up my mind. I had, of course, money, a good bank there of savings, to make sure that I could go on like about a year without any
All right.
worries. And that is important. That is probably why I made the decision. If I quit now, how long can I go without collecting any money? Okay, a year. A year is a good uh, amount of time. Let's do it. Yeah, because if you quit and you cannot pay the rent the next month, then you're done.
Yeah.
And not only that, my wife works. She we have a couple of investments, so there was a little bit of a backup plan.
Hmm.
And this is why in February 22, I just quit my job and started. We didn't even have the name Dancing Pills. And we were like, how are we going to call it? We review like 100 different names with my wife. And at the end, we decided to go with Dancing Pills. Pills are uh, the same as pixels. I don't know how to call it in English. When you shorten the word,
Okay.
uh, and of course that's what we do. We make the pixels dance when we design, because our websites tend to have a lot of movement and animation, stuff like that. So Pixels are dancing, and that's where the name Dancing Pals come from.
I see. Yeah, and then I asked because I have a lot of people. I did kind of a movement somewhat like yours when I was working for an agency as well. There was a merge, and then there was like a cultural kind of clash. But there was something about me. I wanted to keep to build more products, and in agencies, at least as I was a web developer, it was like let's deliver this one, done, go to the next project, done, go to the next project. For me, I had like this will to try to keep improving one thing, right? So I liked clients that stayed for longer, that we could keep improving their websites or web apps. And that's when I kind of made the move as well to go to a startup, right, and get to know a bit more about this. And the fact that you said like I had a plan, I had like I'm paraphrasing you here, is like I have a cushioning for like a whole year. I can go a whole year without that. At that moment, I had it as well. So that's when I took the plunge as well. But a lot of people, they're afraid of doing that.
Oh, they should. They should.
They should be afraid.
Yes, they should be afraid. That doesn't mean they should not do it. They should do it and be afraid. Because, you know, I don't know where did I hear this. Courage is not the absence of fear. Is courage is acting on top of your fear. You're always gonna be. It would. Fear is important. Fear is what makes you look both ways before you cross the street because you are afraid you're gonna get run over by a car. It is important to be fearful. It is life saving. So when you're afraid, that's good. But that doesn't mean you stop. It doesn't mean you're blocked. It means that you just work harder. That's it.
Yeah. One of these days, I think you've heard it too. It's like someone said, like, when you decide to have your own business, it's just like when you go into a game and you select the hardest mode. It's like
Exactly.
selecting life in hard mode.
Exactly. At the beginning, you have to do everything. You have to get customers, prepare all the information, create processes. It is never ending. And, you quit your job so you don't have to work 40 hours a week, but you end up working 80 hours a week. And it's not forever because now I do work like 36, 40 hours a week. I'm going back to a normal schedule because it's been a while, because it's working. But if it comes to the period of time that I need to go back to 80 hours, I just go back to 80 hours and it's okay.
Mhm.
There's no problem. And it's always like that. So it is always playing on the hardest mode.
So one thing that I wanted to touch is because a lot of people that they come to me, I changed career several times. I am a biologist, and then I became. I did my master's in science teaching. I was working with botany, and then I became a web developer, software engineer, product manager, and now I'm doing a bit of business coaching. So people are always like, how can you change so much the career? Because they're usually super afraid of changing the security of their day job with being an entrepreneur, doing their own business. But at the same time, I can see, especially I have a lot of developers, software engineer friends, that they are getting like super afraid because when you only have one day job, you put all your eggs in one basket. If you get fired, like in a crisis that we are currently, it's really hard for you to get another job. I mean, if you're really amazing, yeah, people are just like, come here. And if you're like in AI, for example, you're machine learning kind of AI, generative AI engineer, people are going to be fighting for you. But not everyone is like that. So a lot of them are coming to me is like, should I start my own business? And they're usually afraid and they keep in their own day job. So that's why I wanted to touch to get how you experience this, right? And your view.
I've done, I have no idea how many things in my life I've done, and it's funny because my kids make fun of that. And I teach them, once you finish high school, you study, and you're gonna change careers 20 times. Not you're gonna change your job 20 times. I've been a professional scuba diver, a scuba instructor. I've been a tour guide. I've worked in bars and restaurants and hotels, and doing everything. My first job, one of my first jobs, was working in a hotel washing dishes. It was a huge kitchen. The hotel had 7 restaurants, and there was one single kitchen for all 7 restaurants. And I was washing dishes 8 hours a day, nonstop, because 7 restaurants at the same time. And my kids, they don't believe that. Me washing dishes. But that's the only way you learn. First you have to learn how to be on time in your job and how to be reliable, and you know when you do something that you really like, you really really don't like washing dishes, because who wants to do that? And you're still every day on time and with a good attitude. And I, it wasn't long. It's not that I spent 3 years washing dishes. No, I spent probably 2 months washing dishes. Why? Because we were 3 people washing dishes, and I was the only one who was always on time, always there, with a good attitude, willing to help. I remember that one day, and this is why I didn't wash any more dishes. Someone didn't show up. I don't know why, and they needed someone to cut some broccoli. But I'm not talking 2, 3 broccolis. I'm talking about 7 or 8 boxes full of broccolis, and I spent hours cutting broccoli, and I had no idea. The guy told me, "Do you know how to do it?" No. Okay, pay attention. Ta 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 ta, and I did what he taught me. I spent the entire day cutting broccoli, and that was the last day I washed a dish.
You see?
I moved on. Why? Because I was there willing to help. And then I did so many other things. And I tell them that because you need to be able to make changes. There's only one thing that is always constant, and change is the only thing that is always constant. Things are gonna always gonna change, so you need to be able to adapt really fast. And that's something I learned from my father. Doesn't matter what you do. He used to tell me, probably because I wasn't a very good student in high school. It doesn't matter what you do. You want to be a DJ, you need to be the best DJ. You want to, do anything, you need to be the best on that, but it doesn't matter what it is. It's not like some parents that want you to be a lawyer or to be a
Hmm.
doctor or to, follow this, the family business. No, whatever. So I try to teach them that. So yes, this is probably why I wasn't really afraid of the change, because I've changed my career so many times. Scuba instructor, and I end up doing this. So, and as a tour guide, it was very interesting also, because I never thought I was going to be able. I am a little bit introvert. I'm not the type of person who goes into a party and starts talking to everybody. No, I sit down and chill out and talk to one single person all night. I don't have a problem with that. So I'm not very extrovert. I'm more the opposite. So getting in front of an audience on a bus and started talking to a bunch of people about whatever is around, it wasn't hard. And it's because when I came back from the United States to Panama, that was the only job that I was available at the time. I started looking for a job anywhere, and I started calling people. Hey, I am back. I finished uh, my career. I graduated in the US, and I'm looking for a job. And a girl said, "All I have for you is a tour guide. Can you do that? Do you speak English?" "Yeah, I can speak English." "Oh, so yeah, because we need a tour guide in English." And I showed up. and I had no idea what to do. The guy explained it to me, and I spent 2 or 3 days as an assistant of a tour
Hmm.
guide. And then one day in one of the tours, he says, are you ready? Do you want to give it a try? And I said, if I don't give it a try now, I will never give it a try. And I started talking, and it worked. It was funny because it did work. And it was like the YouTube channel. I started recording videos, and it worked, and people enjoy it. And I don't understand, because I'm just doing something for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like
So
that a
yes,
lot.
when I quit my job, I did feel scared. I was worried, especially because at that time when I switched jobs every year, it was just me. Now I have 3 kids. I have three. They are already on. One of them already graduated high school. The other one is about to graduate this year, and one a little bit younger. And I don't only have to pay for their high schools now. I have to start thinking about their universities, and that's a lot of money and responsibility. And how am I going to pay for all of that? And of course you worry. But if I learned something, is that if I apply myself, I can make it happen. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of working.
Yeah. And I think there is one thing that I really liked about this story is that when you mention about like doing the dishes for 8 hours for a couple months, this is the kind of attitude that when I work with someone, I really like to look into this. Like if someone can adapt, if they're willing to do whatever it takes, and there is no work that is beneath them. I think the fact that you said is like I did this, I did that. It's like, and then when depending on kind of the jobs that you do, it's like even if today I'm broke, I'm like I have no problems like looking for a job that just pays my bills. Do I have to, I don't know, clean up poop, clean up toilets? Do I have to do dishes? I mean, I actually like these kind of jobs because they are super humbling and you can kind of like focus. For me it's a bit of meditational, some of these jobs, because you're like you're in there with the dishes and then you're like you can think about a lot of things or just focus on that action. So there is that side for me. But what I see from your stories is that like whatever life throws at you, you're gonna take it, gonna do it.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yes. Yeah, at the beginning, those jobs were a little bit of, to have fun. Yeah. Because of course when I was washing dishes, I was in college, and I really didn't have to do it. I was doing it just, because my family did pay for my school. But if I wanted to go out, or if I wanted to buy something besides just living and going to class, I needed to, find the money to. And I was like, yeah, if this is gonna give me a little bit of cash to go out and invite a girl to a pizza or whatever, good. So that's the difference in at that time than when I came back from college. When I came back from college, at the beginning, I want to find something that is related to what I do. This is why I studied, and I was a little bit hesitant to take this tour guide job because it had nothing to do with what I did. But it was the only thing that was available at that moment. So I had to take it. It's not like, I'm going to wait until the right thing comes along, because that doesn't work. At least not here in Panama. It doesn't work like that. And I've learned that it's a lot easier to look for a job while you have a job.
Yes.
There is something in your attitude that when you already have a job, you are probably more confident when you go to an interview or something. It's like when you have a girlfriend, Then other girls wanna, go out with you. If you don't have a girlfriend, no girl pays attention to you because there is something in your confidence, in the way you act, that changes and is visible.
Yeah. It's
So
like you smell like desperation. If it-
exactly, you look desperate. Yeah, that is it's a little bit. So yes, I did work as a tour guide for a while, and I ended up staying as a tour guide for like 2 or 3 years during high season, just because I found it fun. I was already with a job, but they would call me during the weekends. Hey, can you do this tour? We were missing, because tour guides didn't want to work during the weekends. And
Mhm.
I thought, yeah, of course I go do the tour. I didn't even need the money, but I started finding it fun. And standing in front of an audience and talking about stuff that I had to study, because I had to study. I had no idea how to be a tour guide, and talk about the history of Panama. Because of course you do that in school and then you forget. And then when people come and you have to take them around for 8 hours around Panama City and talk about everything, then I had to study a lot. Then I wasn't a good student while I was in school, but now I find it fun to learn about stuff. So it is interesting.
and and one thing that I really like is that it was something that I believe it was a bit uncomfortable for you. As you said, it's like I'm a bit of an introvert. I don't, if I go to a party, I don't start talking to everyone. I go to my kind of like corner and then maybe I hang out with one or two people. Okay. And then suddenly you're exposed to this thing, like you have to talk in front of an audience. Oh my God, what's going to happen? I need to take this. And then it seems like you found out like a superpower that you had no idea you had it.
Exactly, exactly. It is interesting because when you are a tour guide, you are the one who's talking and everybody's paying attention. So there's not like a real conversation. It's just you. Uh, it's like when you're on a stage. That's pretty much. So there's no too much interaction. Of course, they ask questions and all of that, but it's not as much. And being a web designer is, I'm sitting here in my office by myself with my headphones or my music, and I don't talk to anybody during the entire day. Or when I was washing dishes with my headphones, washing dishes, not talking to anybody during the entire day. It is, I feel more comfortable, like that. But I've learned that if I need, I can do the other thing as well.
And I wanted to actually make a bridge about this job as a tourist guide and what you've been doing lately. I know, as you said, you're dealing with more with AI in your work, and you're actually teaching people about AI. Tell me more how this happened.
When I was in the software company, we had one of the softwares that we developed and sold was a collection system, and that was in 2016 when we started implementing AI in this software. And the idea was that it would help you understand better the client to see if it was a real problem that he was late on the payments or not, because of a prediction model that they developed. So this is where I started learning about AI in 2016. And when I created Dancing Pills, I thought to myself, I need to figure out how to automate most of the process and most of the work as possible, because I cannot work with a big budget anymore. Like, of course, in a multinational, there's a big budget. Here, I need to work with the minimum possible. So I started looking for tools that would help me in this process. And one of the first things I did was to invest in joining the Future Pro Group. And as I did, I learned that there was a lot of tools there. They started teaching about a lot of AI tools, and in the future pro group, they paid a lot of attention to this. You know, AI is important. Let's learn about it. Let's jump into it, and it was a good start because I didn't know where to start. You know, so it was a good start, and I learned about a few different tools. And from then, I started picking it up by myself. And one of the first things I did was to generate images using Midjourney in one of the earliest versions, in version 2. And I wasn't very good at it, creating the prompts. So I trained ChatGPT on Midjourney because at that time, ChatGPT didn't know Midjourney, Midjourney didn't know ChatGPT. They were completely separate,
Hmm.
and they didn't know the existence of each other. So I took hours training ChatGPT to help me create prompts for Midjourney.
See.
And for some reason, I published some of these images that were the result of this training on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very cool platform, and I posted there, and there was this guy that I knew for a long time. He called me, "Hey Julio, what is it that you're doing with AI? Explain to me." And I'm like, "Nothing. I generate images." "Yeah, but why with ChatGPT? I don't understand." He's like, "Oh no, no, I did this and this and that." He said, "Can you teach me?" And I said, "I don't know if I can teach you. I can show you what I do for my job. And if you like it, then yes, I can teach you." "Okay, but not me. What if we create a workshop for you to teach people?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm not good at this." The guy insisted, "Oh, let's get together and figure it out." And I'm like, "Okay, you can come to the office." And he came to the office here, and he didn't come alone. He came with a businessman from Brazil.
Oh,
An owner of some company in Brazil. He was a CEO, and I'm like, I didn't understand. Of course, he was the audience. The audience. He brought me a person to see if that person got it and would be interested in learning about it. And we spent like 3 hours here in the office, and I started showing, and we started how to create prompts for ChatGPT and this and that. And what other tools do you use? So I show him all of the AI tools that I use. And like, we need to teach people. I'm like, okay, make it happen. Let me know when do I start talking. And he created the first workshop. He sold the workshop. He got the place. He did everything, absolutely everything. I had nothing to do. All I had to do was show up the day of the workshop, present, and that's it. He took care of everything. And we finished that workshop. It was about 90 people, and everybody was
90.
about 90 people.
Wow.
He did the job. He went out and sold the work, found the place, found sponsors, sold the tickets, because it was like, I remember, $60 per person, something like that, for a 2 hour workshop, hour and 20 minutes plus question, Q&A and all of
Q&A.
that. It was very interesting because I have never done anything like that. Besides tour guiding, I don't know how many years ago, I was in front of this audience talking about AI, and it was really relaxed. It was really interesting. I just thought to myself, this is like a combination of the YouTube channel and the tour guide, because I'm teaching, I'm entertaining. Let's make it that way. The day before, I put my projector here in the wall and did the workshop at least 4 times.
Okay.
You know,
Practicing.
practicing. I was so nervous, practicing. And I got it. I got it to the point that I felt okay, I can go to bed now, and it worked. It worked. People started asking so many questions. And when are you going to do the next one? What is next? The workshop was called AI 101.
All right.
That's it. Artificial Intelligence 101. A practical workshop for business people. That's it. That was the name of the workshop. And at the beginning, I just talk a little bit about the history of AI, what actually is AI, what is prompt engineering, and how to start using ChatGPT. That was it. Because ChatGPT was new, it was the version 3 at that time, and everybody wanted to learn how to use it. And of course, through time, we continued doing the workshop, and it started going bigger and bigger because I continue adding new stuff and putting new things in it, and then we pretty much run out of an audience because we had so many words. So we start specializing AI for the health industry, AI for teaching, AI for the. So we started niching
Niching
to
down.
specific things, and we continue. And then a guy stopped me one day and say, "Oh, you know, I want you to teach this in my school."
I
He had a
see.
school, and we went. I went there. We sat down for a couple of minutes to talk about what the idea, and it was very interesting. He said, "Seniors are going to graduate and go out to college, and they don't know anything about AI. Probably next generations are going to have more time to prepare, but seniors, they don't have time. So I
Hmm.
want you to teach seniors about all of this, so when they go out to the university or to college, they have these tools." And I said, "Perfect. But before I do that, I want to make sure that the professors, the teachers, know what I'm going to tell the students,
Okay.
because they're going to start using it for their homeworks."
Yeah.
So we did the entire, all the professors, teachers, all of them in a room, and I presented this. This is the first time I didn't see people really inspired and really into it. This was the first time that I saw people scared
Panic.
and like, "No, kids are not going to think anymore. This is horrible. We're going to lose our jobs." At the beginning, some of the teachers were really against it. Like, but as I continue explaining, I saw the youngest teachers more into it, and they started asking questions, because then I started showing how they could use AI to prepare their classes, to help
Hmm.
them create curriculums for their classes, and so they started getting into it. Then of course I teach the kids how to use it, and it was very interesting because till now I had only teach adults, grown-ups, and this was the first time I actually talked to kids about it, besides my own three kids that use AI for absolutely everything, because of course. um, and they were very, of course, at the beginning they were like, "So how are we going to do our homework using AI? How are we going to cheat using AI?" So as
Hmm.
I started explaining little by little why they cannot use it by itself, and showing them the results, that if they don't know the answer, they can, it was a very interesting process. So yeah, AI has been a very interesting thing for me because I had no intention of teaching it. I just had the intention of using it as much as I could. But because of this person, I started creating these workshops. And now I have the marketing workshop, is a 7-hour workshop. It's a full day where we go through the entire marketing process, understanding your audience, understanding your brand, uh, creating the content, all of it, little by little, all of the tools, all the way to the website, using AI to improve your website. So it's a 7 hour workshop. It's a very interesting workshop where we go through the entire process and showcase about 7 or 8 different AI tools that I use in the daily basis. So that's pretty much what I do. And now I'm creating a sales workshop. Improve your sales with AI. Also a 7 hours workshop where I'm going to teach how to sell using AI tools, or how to sell, no, how to improve your sales process and help your sales team uh, during the entire sales process, even if you're selling B2B or B2C. That we're working on that right now. I'm working
All right.
creating this
And
work.
do you provide these workshops in Spanish and in English?
Right now, so far, I've only given the workshops in Spanish
Okay.
because I like to do the workshops on person.
In
I
person.
have not done them uh, on Zoom
Online.
or on web, because for me it is very interesting to make sure that people get it, and a very personalized process. We don't have more than 25 people
Hmm.
for these workshops because there's a lot of questions. We work on a lot of examples. Usually those examples are real life examples. People will say, oh, let's try with my company, let's try with my message, because they want to start seeing the results in this right there in the workshop. So we do it on site. It's personal. So, and I've done them in Panama. Now I'm flying this month to Colombia. I'm going to do a couple of workshops in Colombia because I was asked to fly there and do them. So for now, it's only in Spanish, but it makes no difference if we do them in Spanish or English.
Okay.
It
All
is the
right.
same.
I'm asking that because I'm about to invite you to come and give a workshop for my own community.
Of course, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
We can do something, not a 6 hour workshop, but we
Yeah.
can do an hour, 2 hours workshop, because online is different. To maintain the attention
Yeah, of course.
and to maintain people engaged during the process. You cannot maintain someone engaged for 6 hours sitting in front of a screen, but we can do it in 2 sessions, 45
Hmm.
minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. And it can definitely be very productive.
Yeah. Yeah, because I have a lot of friends, close friends, and like circles that they are kind of fiddling a bit with AI, but kind of they are barely scratching the surface. So even like AI 101, which is something that I even like try to teach them on the fly, this is the kind of thing that we get to teach some people, and then once the light bulbs, they, oh my god, that's when like you transform someone, that like the teachers that you were saying that they got scared, panic, oh my god, don't teach that to the kids, to like how you can actually leverage that to your own advantage and make, for example, in that case, right, their class is more interesting. The time that he spent to create the class, to prepare their classes, maybe it's gonna be just like minutes instead of like an hours that could have taken.
Exactly, exactly. Yes. And it's funny because one of the first things I ask nowadays during the workshops is, how many of you have a ChatGPT account? And everybody raises their hand. Everybody has a ChatGPT account. At the beginning, the questions were, how many of you use AI? And nobody raised their hand. Nobody said, oh, I use AI. No, no one. Even though everybody uses AI all day because they use Google Maps and Spotify and Netflix, they don't know that they're using AI. Now people are a little bit more conscious. So, how many of you have a ChatGPT account? And everybody raises their hand. because they do have the chat GPT, because they have played with it.
Hmm.
How many of you use chat GPT every day? At least 90% of them lower their hand because they don't use it. They have the account, they went in, they asked two questions. The answers were very vague because the questions were very vague. And they're like, no, this is not for me.
Hmm.
Because it, it is not like using an iPhone. It is, you need to learn how to use it. You need to invest time in using it. You need to understand the structure that it requires, because it requires a structure. And once you understand that, then you won't stop using it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've been doing with some of my clients is like creating these GPTs on the fly in front of them in a call. So it's like, okay, how do you do that? For example, I'm working with a digital agency. I'm like, okay, how do you create the personas? And I'm like, okay, let's try this. And then I showed how I created one GPT specifically for that. And another one was like, how do you generate content for LinkedIn, for instance? Do you generate? Oh, I don't have the time for that. It's like, let's see how we can do that. And then I took some of their blog posts and then I put it in the GPT. I said, look, generate something regarding this. I want to talk about this. Generate. And then suddenly they're like, oh my God. So this is the beauty that I think you are seeing in person, which I love it. I've been doing that like more in a one-on-one session with some clients, but I think niching down as well, the way that you're saying, like you have a broad spectrum, like a one-on-one kind of workshop, and then people start to realize that, oh, maybe I can use that for my business for these specific needs. And that's when they start to see the potential that you and I we see when using these tools to use in our own way.
Definitely, definitely. Once you understand and you spend some time on it, you see the potential and there is no going back. Imagine someone who would not use Google to search for something, or any search engine for that matter. Once you understand the magic of a search engine, what are you going to do? Go to the library and do research? You know?
Yeah, the Pandora's box has been opened. Like there's
Exactly.
no turning back. Right? We might as well. I keep seeing these. Like it's not that AI is gonna steal your job. Someone that knows how to leverage AI, that person will steal your job.
Exactly. I know, and definitely jobs are going to be lost. There are things that no humans will be required to do anymore. And that's normal. That's completely normal. Imagine before the invention of the car, how the cities worked. Before cars, everybody used the wagon with the horses. So in the movies, you always see the wagon and the horses in the Wild West, but you don't see them in the cities. Imagine New York or San Francisco, where there was already a big city and there was only horses and wagons. You get home, what happens with the horse? You're in the middle of the city. Where do you put the horse?
Hmm.
You get to a restaurant, you get to a hotel, you park your car, but what do you do with the horse? So there was an entire industry specialized in taking care of the horses inside urban areas, inside cities. Once the car was created, there was no more industry for the maintenance of the horse. Where do they sleep? What do they eat? What do you do with all the residual waste of the related to horses? That entire industry completely
Right.
disappeared with the new technology that the car brought. Now, completely disappear. New industries will disappear completely because of AI. Yes, that is going to happen. It has happened always, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, there will be
New
others that
industries
will.
will show up.
Yeah, exactly.
Now there's auto shops and repairments, and all of everything that sell for, everything that you can buy for a car.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
there's
even like prompt engineering, right? Like, and as I said, like I have a huge community of web developers and engineers. They're like, oh my god, these guys are like using. I still can code, but some of these models they can code a bit as well. Like, don't worry. It's like you have to learn how to use it so you can code even faster. You can find your bugs faster. It helps you out, so you don't have to write the repetitive kind of like code pieces all over again. There's like prompt engineering is something that started like I am an engineer because I know how to write prompts for ChatGPT to do whatever I want. This didn't exist.
Yes, exactly.
So
And yeah, it has become an important thing to learn, because even now, because at the beginning it was only ChatGPT, so you only had to worry in creating prompts for ChatGPT. But now ChatGPT is only one of the many models that are out there, and depending on your needs, you it's better to use other ones. You don't use ChatGPT for some stuff. It's better to use Claude AI or Perplexity. And if you don't understand which model is better for each task, and you don't know how to talk to that model, because it's not the same,
mhm.
and then you have a disadvantage. Right now, you already have a disadvantage if you only know how to use ChatGPT.
And barely.
Exactly. Exactly. So it is, and it's a non-stop thing. So I was asked, why don't you create an online course on this? And I'm like, because the online course is going to be obsolete in a month. It is way too fast,
I,
way too fast. I do have an online course on Mid Journey, because it is one single tool, and I'm only teaching Mid Journey. I'm not teaching AI. I'm not teaching generative images. I'm just teaching this little bit called Mid Journey.
mhm.
But you cannot create a course on AI or generative language models, because it will be obsolete too fast.
I can tell you because I created one. And before I finished recording everything, it was already obsolete, half of it.
There you go.
What's the point? It's moving so fast that I like the way that you said about the workshops because it's like it's live. You record it, for example, and that's it, right? But if you plan on recording something so people will come afterwards, it will be obsolete pretty fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and usually the idea of creating content for platforms like YouTube is the beauty of it being evergreen,
Hmm.
not getting obsolete so fast. Of course, everything at the end gets obsolete, but let's make it, to work for as long as possible. So this is why I haven't created that many uh, content for YouTube on ChatGPT or on generative models, because I create a few videos because I try to make them as broad and as abstract from the tools as possible, so people can usually use them 3 years from now.
Hmm.
When they see it 3 years from now, the concepts are still relevant. Maybe the rest and the execution is not as relevant, but the concept needs to be relevant, because then it would be bad, and people then, oh, this channel is
It's
wrong.
outdated.
Exactly. This guy has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah. Julio, I wanted to thank you for this conversation. I think I'm nailing the AI at the end because we could have another episode only talking about these tools, right? But I wanted to know, like, for those in my community that they are listening to this podcast and they want to know more about you, where do they find you? Where do they find your products?
Oh, well, it's simple. You can go to dancingpels.com, and that's my website. It is a bilingual website, so you can find it and check it out in English or Spanish. And there I talk mostly about the website and branding side of my business. I'm just creating content inside the website related to the conferences and the workshops. But also, you can visit the YouTube channel. It's Julio Arango. It's my name, so it's easy to find. The thing there is that the content is in Spanish because of my intention of creating content in Spanish because of the lack of content. But the videos you can always put the translation because it has translation on YouTube. So if you don't speak Spanish, if you do, well, even better.
It's an opportunity to learn another language.
There you go. There you go.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Julio. And I will see you soon in my own community with some workshop.
Of course, man. Anytime, I'll be more than happy.
All right, thank you so much.
All
See you
right.
later.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.